Hello. For those of you who have watched a bunch of my videos from the past, you probably noticed the not so amazing background. We did some furniture arranging and I just don't have the spot anymore to put up that background. So for the time being, you get to look at a door and some lovely paneling from the who knows when, 80s, I guess. Anyway, what I want to talk about today is kind of like the purpose of understanding personality type from my perspective, and perhaps a different way of thinking about it than maybe what you're used to or what you've thought about in the past. So a lot of people, when they're dealing with personality type theory, MBTI, or whatever personal system you think makes the most sense, they're trying to figure out, like, what is my personality type? What are my 4 letters? ISFP, ENTP, ESFJ, whatever. Or they're trying to figure out someone else's. What is that person's? What are mine? What is that person's? And figuring that out is revolutionary, right? Being able to understand yourself better makes such a difference as far as, being able to see your flaws, your weaknesses, areas where you're leaving a void, a gap, that other people are having to come in and fill because you're oblivious to it, because your mind doesn't focus on, prioritizing that very important aspect or aspect of life, And other people are having to come in and sort of clean up behind you and pick up the pieces. It can also help you understand where you excel, things that your brain is good at, things that you focus on, areas where maybe you should apply your energy. And when you understand someone else's personality type, it can make such a difference in relationship building and having a good, sound relationship. Understanding the mindset that goes into, why does that person think that way? Why does he say those things? Why does she speak and use those words? Why does he prioritize focusing on these activities or those concepts, things like that? And it can help you understand another person better so that you can be more empathetic, or be more patient, or see the value of what they have to offer. But I think what happens a lot is that I think people, all of us at times, can get far too caught up on the personality type itself. Are you an INTP? Are you an ISFJ? And that's great. If you can figure that out, it's very helpful. It's wonderful. It encapsulates a huge chunk of what you need to know to better understand yourself or the other person. But you can understand a lot about another person by just pinpointing certain aspects of personality types without necessarily being able to narrow down to, this person is definitely ENTJ. So let me explain what I'm talking about and give you some concrete examples here. I can think of a number of people in my life that if you said to me, what is that person's personality type? Some of them I've known for a long time and some of them I haven't known as long. I might not 100% with confidence say, oh, this person is this personality type. But I can say with 100% confidence, this person favors sensing over intuition. This person favors intuition over sensing. This person favors feeling over thinking, or thinking over feeling. And to narrow it down even further, with most of those people, I can usually say this person definitely favors extroverted sensing over the other possible observation functions. This person has extroverted sensing in his or her top 2 slots and is, a thinker. Or this person definitely has introverted intuition in her first two brain function slots, she prioritizes introverted intuition very highly and seems to be a feeler more than a thinker. But I'm a little iffy on that. Things like that. Just knowing those things can make such a huge difference. No, I can't tell you her 4 letters. Probably an INFJ, probably an ENFJ, something like that. But, like, I see people that they're like, oh, am I an INFP or am I an ENFP? Well, it's good to figure that out if you can. But whether you're an INFP or an ENFP, you already know a lot about your brain. You know that you're going to prioritize intuition over sensing. And you know that that intuitive function for you is going to be exploratory. It's going to be open. It's going to be an intuitive function that is always seeking new possibilities, new ideas, looking for the new in the realm of the theoretical or the metaphysical. And you also are going to know that you have introverted feeling if you're trying to decide INFP, ENFP, right? I have introverted feeling. That means you should know you're going to favor feeling over thinking, which means you are likely you're gonna in most situations, you're going to defer to, well, how does this make me feel? Do I value this? What emotional state does this put me in? More than you're going to defer to, well, does this work? And what are the exact details? And, let's go through all of the specifics and has this been tested and things like that. And if you are an ENFP or an INFP and you're not sure, right? You know that you are going to be favoring introverted feeling, which means not only are you prioritizing, values and states of emotion and states of preference over thinking considerations, but you also are going to be getting that information from inside largely. Your values and your feelings and your emotions can be affected for sure and moved especially by those that you respect or hold in high regard. But ultimately, you're not going outward to find, well, is this valuable? No, I value this. I'm not asking the group, is this valuable? I'm telling you, I value it. You all may not, but I do. You're not saying, how does this make us all feel? You're saying, no, I know how this makes me feel. And so understanding, when you're talking to another person, well, I'm definitely dealing with someone who uses extroverted intuition, prioritizes it. It's got its top 2 slot function for this person. And introverted feeling. Not sure if it's an INFP, not sure if it's an ENFP, although there are ways to narrow that down too. I'm not saying you can't figure that out. I'm just saying that don't beat your head against a wall going, I have to know. Is this person this or that? Just benefit from what you can know. Benefit from what you do know. I do know this person favors thinking over feeling. When the rubber meets the road, when a decision has to be made in a moment of extreme importance, when everything's on the line, when there's stress involved, the thinker is going to double down on what works. Do we have the evidence? Is this the right way? Is this practical? Is it pragmatic? The feeler is going to double down on, do I value this? What are my emotions going into this? How does this make me feel? Do I feel like this is right? Do I know in my soul and in my bones that this is the way to go? Now, again, there are variations in that, right? Extroverted feeling will base all that on largely the group narrative. The group knows in its bones that this is the way to go. The group values this highly. Those that I respect place a high priority on this thing. Whereas introverted feeling is going to be much more like, I value this. And the same way with thinking, right? Thinking will be, extroverted thinking is more likely to be like, well, this is what they've tried 100 different ways, and this is the way that, that worked. And so it's good. We've tried every way possible. We've asked everybody all the different ways that they've tried, and everybody has chipped in and said, this is how we tried. But this is the way that consistently worked for everybody. So this is the way. And introverted thinking is going to be more like, well, no, I can cite 12 scientific studies that evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is the way. Or the manufacturer, produced a publication that says this is the detailed way. Step A, step B, step C, step D. But still, it's all grounded in like pragmatism, practical. It works. Feeling is like, how does it make me feel? What do I value this? If you just know that about somebody, you know so much. Even if you can't find their 4 letters, you know so much. But I will say another caveat to all of this is when you are dealing with somebody and you're like, well, there's no doubt that that person favors feeling over thinking. But I'm not really sure if that person's a sensor or an intuitive. Do they prefer sensing or do they prefer intuition? Which one's higher? Well, that probably tells you, not necessarily, there are always exceptions, and you maybe you don't have enough information yet, but that might tell you that they have sensing and intuition in the middle. So if they definitely favor feeling over thinking, and you're not sure about sensing and intuition, then this is probably someone who has a feeling function as their very first function. And then the sensing and intuition come next, and then of course, in this case, the thinking would be last. Now you have to determine, well, okay, but is that feeling introverted or is it extroverted? Is this person well, I know what I think is right, what I believe is right, I know what I feel, I know what I value, I don't need your opinion, I don't need to know what the group thinks, I don't care what the surveys say, okay, introverted feeling, is this, well, all my friends love this, and, well, of course this is the great thing, because this is what everybody loves, and, that sort of thing, well, okay, extroverted feeling. Intuition. You're like, well, there's no doubt this person favors intuition over sensing. But I'm really not sure about the feeling thinking thing. It kind of goes back and forth. All right, I'll give you an example. I have somebody in my life. There's no doubt extroverted sensing. No doubt extroverted sensing. 100% is their first function. The feeling and the thinking, they go back and forth. It's a person who has TI and FE. And this person is very, very concerned about the general emotional happiness of the group. Always going out of her way to try to bring up the emotional state of the group and do things that introduce joy into the gathering. But when I watch her when she has to really make a decision, when things are on the line, when it's stressful and the rubber meets the road, she always defaults to thinking type considerations. She always gets serious and says, well, when we really have to make a decision, it really isn't about how does this make everybody feel. It's really about, let's look at the dollars, let's look at the numbers, let's look at the reports, let's look at the proof that, when she's in a little bit of a less everything's on the line state, she can concern herself much more with those FE considerations of, I want to make everybody feel good and I want to make everybody happy. She's very selfless in those respects. She likes to give her time. She likes to give her money to try to help people feel a lot happier. But at the end of the day, even if making you feel good and be happy is going to require, or when it's going to require, some TI consideration, she always defaults to the TI consideration. She's like, I want to make people happy. I want to do the thing that's going to put a smile on their face, but I must do it in a way that aligns with what is right and logical, what is sound. That always takes the priority. And that tells me, no doubt she's extroverted sensing lead, 100%. But when we come to the feeling and the thinking, it's like, ooh, it's a little tough because I see a lot of both. She could go either way. But where does she go when it gets important? Where does she go when a decision has to be made? She goes to TI. And so that tells me SETIFE. She's an ESTP. And these are the types of things that you can work through over time as you get to know people. You usually, yes, if you type thousands of people like some people online do, yes, you can probably get to the point where you can pick out things in a heartbeat. But usually you're gonna need some time. You're not gonna figure this out in a moment, but there are gonna be things that just jump out at you. This person definitely favors this over that. And that's a start. Just that right there gives you so much information. So don't get too bogged down in the I need to figure out this person's 4 letters. Rather, use it for what it was meant for, which is I want to better understand how this person thinks and operates and feels and makes judgments and decisions and observes the world and perceives things so that I can relate to this person better, understand him or her better, and have a better relationship. Or I want to understand how my brain prioritizes and observes and thinks and makes decisions so that I can know myself better, work on the areas where I'm weak, and leverage the areas where I'm strong. I hope this helps some of you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.